Hello, this is the Captain Paxo, welcoming you back to the fifth and final episode of Quenching the Thirst for the Dark Souls Remastered, because come this Friday, Dark Souls Remastered will be out. And, well, if you've seen my video on my thoughts and analysis of the network test, you probably know what I'm going to ramble about today. Oh yeah, I can use Hidden Body. And I need to equip the Catalyst. Forgot about that. Whoops. There we go. But Dark Souls Remastered, it seems like a great game. I mean, it's pretty much just Dark Souls, but with new textures and in 60 FPS. It feels nice to play. The real problem is when you get into the online and you find that actually it's kind of a different game. And different in the sense of different. I would consider it worse, but other people might consider it better because they fixed, quote unquote, the parry timings. Bugger. Bastard. Alright, that's one down. Come here. Or not. Fucking hell. What they did is they made it so the parry on your screen was accurate. And what that basically means is that when someone swung their weapon, you can react to it with a parry. Fucking dicks, dude. Which, you know, people have been asking for quite some time. They looked at the Prepare to Die edition and they went, wow, the parry is, like, really laggy. You have to hit the parry button half a second before the attack actually lands. Like, what's up with that, right? That's kind of busted, right? Right? Well, actually, no, because if you think about it, that half-second delay... How consistent was that half-second delay? How often did it happen? Well, I should say, how often did it not happen? How often was it not half a second? It was always half a second. And if you think about some of the laggy fights that you had, like... And the parry was still half a second? Ow. That's kind of incredible, if you think about it. Like... How can the parry always be half a second if the fights had varying degrees of lagginess to them? And the answer is that it was consistent because it was deliberate, you know? Another point of evidence towards it is that in co-op, the parry timing was the exact same as it was in the PvE, but as soon as you went into the PvP, it got that half-second delay. Why was it exclusive to PvP and didn't include co-op? Why did that happen? Again, because it was deliberate. You know? And why was it deliberately introduced? Why did they deliberately add some lag into the mix? Well, if you think about it, there are not many moves in Dark Souls 1 that are unparryable. The idea of making moves unparryable only really came into effect in Dark Souls 3. Right? But with the parry in Dark Souls 1, it's instant. The moment you hit the parry button, you have parry frames. Right? So can you imagine trying to fight someone who's good at parrying with an ultra greatsword? It'd be a nightmare. They just parry you every single time on reaction. They wouldn't even have to predict. Only react. So the half-second parry delay kind of acted as a balance to kind of balance out the parry, because the parry is ridiculously strong. We can't deny that, you know. Completely negate an opponent's attack, open them up for a critical amount of damage that can be boosted by the Hornet Ring, and depending on the weapon, you can one-shot people. You know, if you're using the Black Knight Great Axe and you use the Hornet Ring, that's going to be a one-shot on most people. So you kind of need to do something to balance it out. And one of the ways is to add that delay in it, because it makes it a hell of a lot harder. It makes it so you can't just react. You have to predict, in some essence. And I mentioned in the analysis video that a prediction is always harder than a reaction, because a prediction, well, a reaction, you only have to be on the same page as your opponent, whereas a prediction, you have to be a page ahead of them, you know? And that's something that I didn't really get into too much. Like, let's think about it. If all you have to do is react, I mean, I'm reacting to everything that Manus is doing right now, right? Not too difficult, but to be able to predict exactly what he's going to do next, that's a little bit harder. That requires a good amount of game knowledge and game sense, like knowing what your opponent is going to do, get in the mind of them, you know? I need to recover stamina. So I just find it very frustrating that not a lot of people are talking about the fact that actually the parry could be pretty bad. I read that wrong. Oh, and I'm alive. And I'm dead. That move I find so difficult to fight against. If I put it in terms of, say, a fighting game, like Street Fighter, for example, a parry in Street Fighter completely negates, it's basically just a perfect block, and it completely negates your opponent's attack. Like, it won't do any damage to you. That's really powerful, and it has the power to negate supers, right? Thing is, though, you have to hit that parry button with a frame-perfect window. The timing on it is ludicrously strict, right? You pretty much have to anticipate it, because there's always going to be a delay input on any device. Even what I'm playing right now, there is delay input. It's going, my input's going from my controller through the wire into my PC, and then processing in-game, and then displaying on the monitor. Right, there's always going to be input lag, so you have to pretty much predict. And the more input lag there is, the more you have to predict. Moment 37 was incredible because the parry was very difficult to do, and Daigo had to do like 15 frame perfect blocks, or else he would have died. You know, if that was the parry from Dark Souls, where the parry comes out instantly, completely negates your opponent's attacks, has a bunch of frames, and opens your opponent up for a critical attack, Moment 37 wouldn't have been as iconic as it was. Because the parry would have been easy to get. Has so many frames, it's not frame perfect. Or it doesn't have to be frame perfect. You've got a lot of leeway there. And all of this is to say that making parries harder makes them more impressive, and also makes it so people don't just fish for parries. Because people won't be able to fish for parries, because not everybody would be able to do them. Right now, thanks to the React parry that they've implemented, everybody's just going to be fishing for parries, you know? Why would you fight Rustic against an Ultra Great Sword that can do quite a substantial amount of damage, when you can just fish for a parry and do an even more ridiculous amount of damage back? It doesn't make any sense to fight Rustic, because the parry is just so easy to get, and it does so much damage. I mean, that's why people backstab fish in the PvP, is because it was so easy to do, and it did a shit ton of damage. Right, so translate to the parry, and now that they've made the parry even easier to get, and it does more damage than the backstab, I mean, it always did more damage than the backstab, but then it was harder to get than the backstab. You know, so there was a bit of a trade-off there. But now it's like everybody's going to be able to parry. That's all the PvP is going to turn into. If you're using anything heavier than a katana, it's just going to be parry fishing. It's very upsetting for me. As someone who, you know, really liked the diversity in Dark Souls 1 and felt that the diversity of builds in Dark Souls 3 was incredibly lackluster. That was one of the reasons why I stopped playing it, is because everybody just used straight swords. Straight swords and curved swords, because they were so good at roll catching. Because rolling was the meta. It was so easy to avoid so much damage. Because the rolling, I mean, it had so many iframes in it. It was so easy to avoid. It cost barely any stamina to do at all. And you could get the fast roll at 70% equipment load. 70%! You get the best roll in the game. It was so powerful that people had to resort to roll catching with straight swords and curved swords, or else you're going to have a really hard time. And also, thanks to them going for the reaction parry, which again people were asking for since Dark Souls 1, because they went for the reaction parry, parries were fairly easy to do, especially against the slower swinging weapons. Again, bastard. He saw me. Prick. Should have done the thing about earlier. Oh, those guys drop greens. Did not know. But parrying against big weapons became very easy. So what did they do? Well, they did something very sneaky in Dark Souls 3. Well, not really sneaky, but very clever. They made certain moves unparryable. If you two-handed an ultra great sword, for example, it would just become unparryable. Mechanically, you would not be able to parry it. It was invulnerable, impervious, impossible to being parried, you know? That's not the case in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 1, the only things to my knowledge that are unparryable are jump attacks, whips, and the two-handed rolling R1 on the Great Hammers. Why that move in particular, I have no fucking clue. But it's busted as hell, you know? And honestly, if you're going to want to do a strength build in Dark Souls Remastered, that's probably going to be what you're going to do, you know? I think it's needless to say at this point that I'm going to be making a shit ton of videos trying to bring back the predict parry. I'm going to be making a bunch of videos to try and just showcase why having the reaction parry in Dark Souls 1 is such a stupid idea. You know, I'm gonna pretty much, like, anytime I fight anything heavier than a katana, I'm just gonna parry bait. And I'm just gonna show, like, look, if you can parry bait or parry fish against these weapons, then people are going to. Because I'm someone who really enjoys playing rustic, meaning, like, not really focusing on parry or critical fishing, I should say. But if super heavy weapons are just going to be parry bait, thanks to the sight parry, then, you know... Hold on here, I just gotta... Ooh, I'm gonna get hit by that. Not quite. Just had to turn off my headphones there because they were running out of battery. Should have charged beforehand. Oh well. We can run without sound. It's fine. I know this game. I know heavy weapons like Ultra Greats were kind of parry bait beforehand, but that was only if people were idiots with them. You know, if they just mashed R1. And you would rarely see someone actually sight parry these weapons. You would still see people having to do the setup parry, which that's another thing. Like, the setup parry, that was a technique that was created because we couldn't just sight parry. We had to predict, and doing the setup, blocking the first hit, and parrying the second, was a very reliable way of being able to predict, you know? Holy shit, that hit me! I did not expect that. But that's not really going to be needed. Except for the faster swinging weapons, which the faster swinging weapons, one of the great things about them was that you couldn't block parry them. Like, you couldn't set up parry them with a block. You had to tank a hit to parry the second one because they just swung way too fast, and your character kind of flinches when you block a hit, but they don't when you just poise through it. So you literally had to poise parry straight swords and curved swords and katanas and all that. Now, I reckon you can block parry them. I mean, I know you can block parry. You can block the first two and parry the third. It's tech that was learned in Dark Souls 3, and thanks to the way the parry now works in Dark Souls Remastered, you're going to be able to do it in this game. And that's not really the way it worked in Dark Souls 1. That was kind of one of the advantages. They didn't do as much damage as an Ultra Great, but they couldn't be block parried. They had to be poise parried. And also the poise parry just allows for, well, being able to bait your opponent into a parry. Like, if you know your opponent knows what they're doing and they're going to try and, like, set up parry on you, you can bait them by hitting them once and then running for the backstab. But thanks to how the connection is in Dark Souls 1, people can literally wait until the last possible second before they hit that parry button. And, really? Oh shit, I'm alive. Excuse me. Because I was thinking about it, like, if I kick someone and then try and circle for the backstab, they don't actually have to hit the parry button until they see my weapon swing. And if they don't see my weapon swing, they can just back up, like I'm doing right now, you know? They can just keep backing up. As soon as they see that weapon swing, they can hit the parry button and they can get the parry. So again, it's like, what do you do in this situation? You know? And as previously stated, I'm going to make a number of videos kind of being like, yo, this is kind of stupid. Why did we think this was a good idea? Damn. One of them being like I said, the parry fishing video that I'm gonna make, and it's just gonna turn into two guys just staring at each other down like complete lemons, going, "You attack first. No, you attack first. No, you. I dare you. No, I insist. Please, you first. After you. Please." It's like. Because the only other viable way of actually using heavy weapons would be to just spam the two-handed rolling R1 on the Great Hammers, and again, I'll probably make a video on that. And that's something that I did actually do in Dark Souls Prepare to Die. I did actually do that. I put on the Darkwood Grain Ring, super light armor, two-handed it like a boss, and ninja flipped around and spammed the rolling R1, and I have to say, it got really fucking boring really fucking fast because it's easy mode. It's straight up easy mode because that move does a ton of damage because it's a really heavy weapon. It comes out super fast. It's got a lot of phantom range on it. It can't be parried, and you could dead angle with it. It had everything, and it didn't even cost that much stamina. It was ridiculous. You know? And I'm not saying like that's how everybody should play, but it's like, if you want to use a heavy weapon and you want to play rustic, like you don't want to focus on criticals, that's pretty much going to be the only way you're going to be able to play, because everything else is just going to get you either parried or backstabbed. Like, if you try and do jump attacks, you're just going to get backstabbed. I mean, that's what jump attacks are. They can't be parried, but they're backstab bait, you know? Oh, that was dumb. And it's just sort of like, I don't know. I have a lot of frustrations with it, and nobody else seems to... Well, a couple of people seem to be receptive to it. But people seem to be a lot more receptive to the idea that the dead angle was kind of a bad move. Because the dead angle, if you don't know, if you're just here for the PvE and don't really know much about the PvP, you could start an attack facing one direction, but then do a 180. Let me see if I can demonstrate it. R2 facing one direction, 180, right? And if you did that against someone who was blocking, it would hit behind their shield. It would count as if they're not blocking at all. Or rather, more specifically, the lag or the internet thought that you were behind them. Like, it thought the attack was coming from a different direction from that they were blocking. You know, the game thought that the attack was coming from behind them because you started the attack facing towards them, so it's gonna connect, but then you face away from them, so it thinks it hits behind their shield. Right? That's gone. And considering how busted shields are in this game, that's gonna make turtle builds ridiculous. Think about it. Like, the Great Shield of Artorias, 88 stability. I mean, I could probably block something pretty fierce from Manus from this shield. And this shield has, like, what? 55 stability, and it took off maybe 80% of my stamina, and that was a pretty fierce hit. You know, this is Manus we're talking about. I don't even have a lot of stamina. I think I have, like, what, 20 endurance? 25. Right? So that's not even a particularly big stamina bar. And I was able to block that much. Now imagine that with 88 stability. That's going to be insane. You're going to be doing chip damage. And this is a boss as well. This isn't even like a Zweihander or a katana or anything like that. You're just going to be able to tank it all day, every day. As I'm not doing a particularly good job here. So with the removal of dead angling to get through the shields, everyone's going to have a pocket shotel. And not every build might want a pocket shotel. You know, what if you want to use maybe a katana and a greatsword? What if you want to use maybe like a rapier and a I don't know, a falchion or something? What if you want to use like a battle axe and a spear? What if you want to use something that isn't a shotel? What if your build can't use a shotel without going into a medium roll or a fat roll? Like, you've got a very specific build with a very specific setup with equipment, and your endurance is just enough to be able to fast roll with it, but you can't put any extra weapons on because you'll end up in medium roll. And you don't have the defense to be able to be in medium roll safely. You know, what then? And what does that say about build diversity? Again, is everyone just going to be packing a pocket shotel? Wait, that doesn't sound like fun. Every build having a shotel because turtles? Wait, it's gonna be like Dark Souls 3 all over again. Just Cartha's curved sword absolutely everywhere until they introduce the follower's saber, which is even better. It's just like, really? Is that really what we're doing? I don't know. It's frustrating. And the other option is to just go for bleed. But the thing that you're probably forgetting is that, well, I can just have like 99 red moss, right? And on top of that, I can turtle poke with a spear. Because turtle poking was lethal in Dark Souls 1. It did not cost that much stamina at all. And it was super fast as well. They nerfed it real hard in Dark Souls 2 and 3. And they made it cost so much more stamina and made it so much less viable. But in Dark Souls 1, it's fucking viable as shit. People hate it. I'm dead. The one move I don't appreciate about Manus is that he just has that one wombo combo that you get hit by it, you're getting hit by the full thing. There's no way you can get out of it. Oh, fuck this shield. I'm not using it. Let's just put on the Beatrice Catalyst, right? on a different weapon. Something a bit stronger, and I can still fast roll with it. But yeah, if you're going to try and bleed someone with a katana, they can turtle poke you for a very long time before they might have to run away to Blossom. But even if they go for the Blossom, as long as they've got good armor, your katana's not really going to be doing a lot of damage, and then they can just go back to turtle poking you. And it's like, because they've removed the ability to use humanity, which I think was a good thing, honestly. I don't want to harp on that. It's like, oh my god, they got rid of humanity. It's like, they basically made it so invasions can't go on for ad infinitum, you know? Because the host could have 99 humanity, the invader could have 99 humanity, the phantoms could have 99 humanity, and it would just never fucking end. And divine blessings as well. Thank God for that. Right? I think I was doing more damage with my Silver Knight. Fuck. I did like, what, 240? With the Flamberge? Let me weapon swap real quick. Thank you. Nope, I'm definitely doing more damage with the Flamberge, but I got more recovery frames on this. What was I talking about? Bleed, shields, and all sorts of nonsense. I don't know, it's like... They really nerfed shields in Dark Souls 2 and 3, just thanks to the guard break. Like, actually guard breaking your opponent opened them up to a critical, and in Dark Souls 2, the kick was replaced with the guard break, which would just insta guard break you. It was amazing. I absolutely loved that. It was ridiculously overpowered though, so if you got hit by it, that's it. It's just an instant critical, and considering how powerful criticals were in Dark Souls 2, it's like, okay, well that can just be death right there. Because it was not uncommon to see criticals doing like over 2300 damage in Dark Souls 2. So they balanced it in Dark Souls 3 to where they gave the kickback, but they madly increased the amount of stamina damage that it did. Because that's the thing, like, the kick doesn't even do that much stamina damage to a shield. Like, it does decent stamina damage, but honestly, it does about the same amount of stamina damage as, like, a Zweihander, which is not that much against an 88 stability shield. It is ridiculous, right? So if you think you can just sit there and kick a great shield, like you do in Dark Souls 3, you're in for a rough time. You're gonna be in for a rude awakening. You know. Stab it. Yes, Silver Pendant is useful against this boss, but I don't like it. I don't like to do it because I find it to be rather inconsistent. What are you doing? Oh. So the removal of dead angling is kind of nasty because you're just going to be able to make some ridiculous turtle builds. Again, I'll make a full, like, feature-length video on that when the game finally releases. And again, with, like, the parry fishing, just to sort of be like, are we sure we want this in our Dark Souls Remastered? Because one of the arguments that I've heard about the Dark Souls, or about the reaction parry, like, in favor for the reaction parry, it's pretty much the only argument that I've heard so far, but then I haven't really been arguing for the predict parry for very long. But in defense of the reaction parry, oh, it looks better. Like, you're not just parrying thin air. And I don't know about you, but I'm a gameplay over graphics kind of guy. So that argument does not resonate with me in the slightest. In fact, it makes... I'm like, what? Like, so? It looks better, so we get a worse parry. It looks better, so the game gets to be broken. Okay. That's some Star Wars Battlefront 2015 shit right there. Oh, it looks great. Yeah, sure, but is it a good game? Yeah, but it looks good. Like, is that really the argument? Especially because, like, the backstabs. If you've watched a lot of Dark Souls Remastered footage, like, if you've watched Adam Barker's video on the Dark Souls Remastered tech test, the last clip in the video is a fantastic demonstration of the backstabs looking really funky. Like, in Demon Souls, when you did a backstab, half of the time the blade wouldn't connect on the person's back, right? It would be all kind of janky. In fact, a lot of the time, the backstab wouldn't even do damage, because your character just wouldn't... The backstab wouldn't align correctly, so it just wouldn't do any damage. Like, that was a common thing in Demon Souls, apparently. And in the Dark Souls Remastered, you have this similar kind of thing where the backstabs don't even line up correctly. I mean, most of the time they do damage, but I could have sworn there were times where my backstab literally didn't do any damage to someone, right? On top of that, like I said, the last clip on that Adam Barker video, he backstabs this guy, and then he just, like, moonwalks, like, slides all the way over to the right. Like, he's in the fountain area. He's near the bonfire. He backstabs the guy, and then the guy just, like, slides off to the other side of the fountain. You're kind of thinking, huh, right, okay, sure. So, the parry looks better, but the backstab don't. You know? Like, the backstab looks so much worse. So, congratulations, we got a better looking parry, but at what fucking cost? I'm sorry, I'm very angry about this. I just feel like, what are these guys called? The guys doing the remaster, like Q-Tech or something like that? I can't remember. They don't seem to fully understand what kind of game they're messing with, right? They're making a bunch of changes, and without realizing the consequences that it has on the rest of the game. Fuck. Right? Case in point, the fucking, what is it? Gravelord Covenant, right? They increased the number of phantoms you can have in a world to 6 without realizing what kind of effect it would have on the Gravelord Covenant, where you'd have like 6 fucking blue phantoms all chasing the host, ganking him, because blues can't hurt blues. They can only hurt reds, whites, and the host. Or golds as well, I guess, technically. But blues can't hurt each other, just like hosts and phantom, like friendly phantoms can't hurt each other. Right? So what that means is it's like a 5v1 because you used an Eye of Death. Oh, I hate that move. Stop with your dark magic, you filthy casual. But that's just like a great example of them messing with mechanics in Dark Souls without realizing what kind of an effect it has on the game. Increasing the number of phantoms. Sure, okay, that sounds like a good thing on paper, but what does that mean for the Gravelord Covenant? What does that mean for Sumbros? What does that mean for invaders? What does that mean for hosts? What does that mean for everyone? What does that mean for forest hunters, for God's sakes? Are you going to tell me the forest hunters are going to be fine? I don't think so. I think the forest hunters is going to be nutty. And not in a particularly good way. I know it's pretty nutty and prepared to die, but I think it's going to be even worse. Like, a host and 4 or 3 phantoms versus, like, 2 blues? I don't think that's going to be particularly great. I think that's going to be awful. Because I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what videos on YouTube make you think. fighting more than one person in Dark Souls 1 is not an easy feat. It's not a particularly easy feat in any Souls game, really. But Dark Souls 1 especially, like, it's so easy to get backstabbed, especially from like a Hornet Ring Black Knight Great Axe, and you're dead, right? And backstabs are so easy to do as well. That was pretty close. It's just sort of like, that's nasty. And having to predict parry as well, again, hard. Oh wait, yeah, the predict parry's gone. Oh, whoop-de-doo. But then that also means that the gankers are going to be able to parry as well. Those parry spamming noobs that thought that they could parry and were using the same timing in PvE and it wasn't working in PvP, they would be getting punished. Whereas in the remaster, I feel like these guys are just going to be able to parry everything. Because that was another thing, it kind of increased the skill gap. Because it made it harder, it made it so not everybody can do it, right? And if not everybody can do it, then it's kind of relegated to more of like the elite status and better players. You know, and something as powerful as the parry, it kind of should be relegated to the better players who actually know how to do it. It should be hard to do. As previously stated, like, would Moment 37 have been as iconic as it was if you could just, like, button mash? Like, if you could just do this and get it, you know? I don't think it would. And that's why a lot of people were getting upset in Street Fighter V, because the hardest links, frame links that you would have to do were 3-frame links, which are not particularly difficult. And before it was 1-frame links, so you had to be frame perfect to get some of these combo links off. So again, it was relegated to the best players in the world, and actually made it kind of impressive. Whereas when they made it 3-frame links to try and make it easier for casuals, sure, it made it so everybody could do Moment 37, but it also made Moment 37 a lot less interesting. You know, it was like, oh, well, everybody can do it, you know? So what's so special about it? Whoops. Alright. What else pissed me off about Dark Souls Remastered? I don't know. I think I've said my piece on it. I'll probably make a long video on it once the game actually releases, and it'll be like scripted and stuff. It won't be rambled on like this. It'll be in the style of like my Dark Souls 3 critique, which again, I kind of want to redo that video, but Dark Souls 3 is kind of an old game at this point, and everyone's kind of moving on to the remaster. So I think it would be better if I just saved my breath and waited for the remaster. Save my breath as he rambles for half an hour. And failed at Manus as well. Man, I remember when I fought Manus with medium roll only, no shield, and again, no healing. Like an Artorias cosplay. It was fun as shit. It took me like 4 days to do it. It was hard. But I did it. So I can say I did it. Mid-roll, no healing. I mean, it's not as impressive as like Soul Level 1, no damage. But I still felt good. That's something that's been pissing me off recently as well. There's just kind of elitist mentalities of like, oh, well, you didn't do this. Well, clearly I'm better than you because I did. Instead of being like, oh, damn, you managed to do that challenge. That's pretty cool. You know? Kudos to you. That's something that not everybody can do. And I think that's due in part to the internet just sort of, like, people being able to show off their skills in the way that they do. It kind of becomes more of the norm. So if you don't perform like that, you become less than. You become more of a casual. You become a worse player. And it's just not true. It's like, these players are good, and maybe they just don't want to challenge themselves in that kind of way, and maybe like this was their Everest, maybe that like they were genuinely having a hard time with this, but it's just like, nah, they're just bad at the game, you need to get good. And that's something that's actually been pissing me off about the Monster Hunter community as well, and that's something I'm going to go into much greater detail in the weekly hunt, but it basically pertains to people just being elitist pricks. Thinking that they're better than other people because, oh, I played Monster Hunter Freedom, I played the OG Monster Hunter, look at me, aren't I better? No, you're not. Like, sure, you did some tough stuff, good for you, but guess what, I've done some tough stuff in video games as well, you know? The humble brag. The humble brag where I'm like, hey, look, I've done this cool stuff in video games, but hell, it was hard as hell, and it took me a long time to do it, but I stuck with it, and I managed to do it, and I reckon everybody else can do it. Give it a go yourself. That's a lot more supportive and honestly a lot nicer to listen to than, hey, look at me, I'm so cool, aren't I? I did this thing and you can't do that. I bet you couldn't do it. You scrub. Like, how's that helping anyone? Like, it's actively hurting your reputation. It's actively making you look like a dick and making you harder to get along with. And it's making people a lot less likely to interact with you. And on top of that, it's a lot less likely for people to actually want to interact with the community in general. Or even with the game, like maybe they go, oh, well, like you didn't play like this Monster Hunter game? Oh, well, you're not a true Monster Hunter fan. They might just sort of be like, you know what? I just don't care about this franchise. And they might not play another Monster Hunter game, which sucks. And the same thing can be said for Dark Souls, you know? Like, oh, you didn't beat Dark Souls on Soul Level 1? Oh, you're not good at the game at all. Oh, you couldn't beat like a 3v1? You're a scrub. Oh, I would have done this, that, and the other in this situation. Aren't I better than you? It's like, no, you're not. I don't care what your skill is in a game. You earn... If you want respect from me, you earn respect by not only being a good player, but also being able to give that skill to other players. Like being able to pass it on, being friendly about it, being kind of chill and humble, and not being a fucking... what do you want to call it? Elitist asshole. Stop thinking that you're better than everyone else. You're not. You're just the same as us. You're just human. Get back down here. Get off your high horse. If anyone's a scrub, it's you. God. Very angry. Grr. Sorry, it's... Again, it's just been pissing me off about the Monster Hunter community recently. I think it's just a vocal minority, but... it's never fun. Let's... Calamite, I guess. Township. Yeah. I think I have the key to talk to Goth. But we need to trigger it first, so I need to go say hello to Calamite and get my ass kicked. Alright. One thing that I do have to note is that the servers for Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition on PC was still up. Like, I logged in today, just now, really, and I noticed, hey, it didn't tell me that this game's only in offline mode. Actually, do I have a white sign? I can use the white sign. So we are online. And I'm hoping it's going to stay online. I really do. Because that's where I'm going to get my most amount of enjoyment out of Dark Souls Remastered. Blocking. Go into the menu. Equip a shield. Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, there it is. That's such a weird glitch. I wonder if that exists in the remaster. Because that's one of the nonsense things about the remaster. They removed... oh shit, there's more of them. Fuck off. Fucking dog piece of shit, asshole. Fuck off. They removed a bunch of cool stuff, like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Maybe if I fat roll, I might be able to do it. I've never done a moveset swap before. Yeah, okay. Whoops. Fuck. But they removed moveset swapping. They basically meant... Oh, there it is. They made it so, yeah, look at that! Moveset swap! They made it so when you inputted anything other than a two-handing of the weapon, where's my ninja stuff? There it is. And you went into the menu, it would completely cancel it. So you roll, you hit R2, you go into the menu, it cancels the input. They removed weapon swapping, and they, you know, removed they removed toggle, not the toggle escape, dead angling. That's the one I'm looking for. They removed dead angling, and they removed, or they changed the parry to make it into the react parry as opposed to a predict parry. But they didn't fix chain backstabbing. They didn't fix the glitch where when you're two-handing a weapon, you're standing still and you do a 180, your character does that. They didn't fix that, but they fucking removed dead angling. Like, really? And in fact, I am pretty sure they didn't remove the bug where if you're using the Kirk armor or, yeah, if you're using the Kirk armor and you're using a weapon that you cannot like you have insufficient strength to one hand, and you roll into someone, you'll bounce off of them. You rebound in this really bizarre manner. I don't think they fixed that because I saw someone using, like having to two-hand a halberd. And they kind of did like a drop down. They didn't do a plunge attack. They kind of just dropped down onto a hollow. And it like rebounded them. A la that glitch. So they didn't fix that. But they removed the dead angle. Like, really? Like I said, it just screams of incompetence. Like they don't quite understand what kind of a game they're messing with. They don't understand all of the intricacies of all of the mechanics and all of the techniques and how they interconnect with all of each other. They don't seem to understand that Dark Souls is a very, very delicate and elaborate set of scales where when you change one thing, it has a profound effect on absolutely everything else. With the aforementioned changing of phantoms, it has a profound effect on the Gravelord Covenant and on the Forest Covenant and probably on the Dark Moons and the Sunbros and all of that sort of stuff. It has a profound effect on the online aspect and not necessarily in a good way. And removing dead angling has a profound effect on turtling. It's going to make it so stupidly viable. And changing the parries is going to have a profound effect on being able to use heavier weapons. You're not going to be able to outside of spamming or fishing for criticals. Give me the Black Dragon. Yes. Whoops. I hit the wrong thing. Oh, really? Yeah, talk. Come on. Alright, I'm just going to reload. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to see Dark Souls. Black Dragon, yes. Thank you. Yes. It's sad to see this game in the state that it's going to be in. Because Dark Souls 1 is my favourite Souls game, if you hadn't gathered. You know, been me rambling on about how I don't really like Dark Souls 2, and I really didn't like Dark Souls 3 at all. Oh, go figure, Dark Souls 1 is your favourite. Yeah. And of course, Dark Souls 1's PvP, I absolutely fell in love with. It's brilliant. I love it. I mean, it's the game that got me into Souls PvP, and although it wasn't perfect, it really, really wasn't. So don't get me thinking that it was. But from my standpoint, in my opinion, Dark Souls 1 had the best PvP, because I can't quote on Dark Souls 2 because I never played the PvP in that game, and I absolutely hated the PvP in Dark Souls 3. So of course, Dark Souls 1 had my favourite PvP. I loved how all of the mechanics kind of worked together. You know, I loved how you could dead angle. I loved the toggle escape existed. I loved the being able to parry. I kind of liked the being able to predict parry, because it meant that the scrubbers couldn't be able to do it, or wouldn't be able to do it, and only people who actually knew the timings and actually dedicated a lot of time to the PvP could do it, you know? I liked that. I liked all of the stupid nonsense that existed. As much as it frustrated me and it pissed me the hell off with people using like Darkwood Grain Ring and a spear, or stuff like that. You know, stuff that was just super cheap and super cheesy and really easy to use and did so much damage. I felt like there was always a workaround for all of it. You know, as much as it was really annoying, there was always a workaround. I am going to use the Flamberge here because I want that tail. Ah, you bastard. I'm not good at cutting the tail. Oh-ho! Do the stomp. That's not the stomp. Yeah, as much as everything pissed me off, I loved it. Oh dear. Which I can't say the same for Dark Souls 2 or 3. Because as much as those games piss me off to high heaven, I don't enjoy them. You know, that's all it comes down to. Can I enjoy them? Yes or no? And the answer for Dark Souls 2 and 3 was no. The answer for Dark Souls 1 was yes. And the answer for the remaster, unfortunately, is going to be no. I kind of forgot to mention that thanks to the parrying, the way the parrying is, and the lack of dead angling, with people having to use a pocket show tool to be able to fight turtles, the R2 on the show tool is kinda slow. I would not be surprised if you can side parry it. And whenever someone does pull out a show tool, you know exactly what they were going to do anyway. Like a show tool, as soon as someone pulled out a show tool, they were parry bait in the Prepared to Die edition. What do you think they're going to be in the remaster? Ridiculous, you know? Like, oh, just have a pocket show tool. That'll fix your problem. It really won't. It really, really will not. But we still have the remaster. Or, not the remaster. I don't like the remaster. I don't want the remaster. Please don't go Prepared to Die. We still have Prepared to Die. And it looks like the servers are still going to be on. That was my biggest concern, is are they actually going to turn off the servers? Because if they turn off the servers, well, bye-bye good PvP. Hello shit PvP. Yeah. Oh, that actually hit me. I should turn off the vibration, it's kind of pissing me off. Where's the vibration? There's... Where is the vibration? Oh, there it is. No! Fucking... No! There you go. I took a lot of damage, but Fuck it. I don't like the vibration. That hit me. I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter, and, well, that doesn't have vibration, does it? Especially on the 3DS. One question that I have to ask, though, in favour of the reaction parry. Oh, this was a summon. This was an invader. People are still playing the Prepare to Die. That makes me very happy and very sad at the same time. Because it's like... Are they going to shut down the servers? Are people still going to be able to play Prepare to Die? Because they took it off of Steam. Why did they take it off Steam? It's like they were saying, oh yeah, the Prepare to Die edition is shit. The remaster is where it's at. You're gonna love it. It's so much better. And that'd be so much easier to say if it was definitively better, but it isn't. Because of all the changes they've made, the gameplay, especially in the PvP, is very, very, very different. And because of that, it's not definitively better. In fact, in my eyes, it's definitively worse. So you can't push this idea of, oh, it's better. The remaster is the definitive edition. It really fucking ain't. Anyway, back to the question about the reaction parry. What is wrong with bringing back the predict parry? That's what I want to know. What is the downside? There has to be a downside to bringing back the predict parry, right? Oh, what? People are going to be upset that their parry timings are different? So? It's Dark Souls, bitch. People are upset all the time at the most inane things. You think they're not going to be fucking pissed off at the parries? I mean, I'm pissed off at the parries at the moment. Why wouldn't people be pissed off at the parries in the future? Like, if you're trying to avoid backlash, then too late. You've already got it. You know? Oh, they don't want to have people relearn in timings? Fuck that. Let them relearn all they want. You know? Let me get your fucking tail. Do the stomp. Do the stomp. That's not the stomp. It can't really be like, oh, it's gonna mess with the gameplay, because it really isn't. Like, if anything, the gameplay is gonna be better thanks to the parry changes, because it's gonna make things more viable. Fuck you, bitch. You know, it's gonna make like ultra greats and great hammers and all of that. It's gonna make them a lot easier to use. That's for damn sure. They're not gonna have to critical fish like well, everybody already does. But that's the thing, is like in the past you didn't have to critical fish. You could critical fish, but you didn't have to critical fish. There was an option there. And partially thanks because you could actually dead angle, which made it a lot easier. Excuse me. Oh, God. Nonsense right there. Move, you fat bastard. Why is your tail so high up? I can't cut it off if it's like that. Dude. Fucking prick. How do you cut off his tail? Seriously. Oh, I hit him. Oh. Really? Fuck. This guy pisses me off when I try and cut his tail off. Move your fat dick. God's sakes. Anyway. Trying not to get pissed off by Calamite and trying to get back onto the topic of... Oh, fuck. Why the predict parry is just better than the react parry. I mean, it's like... What's the downside to actually having the predict parry return? You know? Oh, it's gonna look worse? Well, I've already explained why that's bullshit. I mean, I thought I rolled through that. Apparently not. I really don't like this guy, I gotta be honest. It really does not make it easy for you to fucking cut his tail off. Maybe I should pull out a fucking bow and just shoot it. What do I think of you piece of shit? That hit me? Oh my god. Fucking lingering hitboxes, dude. Oh. Where's my Monster Hunter iframes? They're so much better. If you dodge an attack, it's dodged. You don't get this half and half bullshit where the iframes linger for so long that you dodge an attack and still get hit by it. Fucking hell. This is the one boss that I never really got good with. It's the one boss that I just don't fight. I never fight Calamite. I don't really enjoy it. He's an absolute slog. Manus is fun. Calamite not so much. Because he just jumps all over the place. And he does not like making it easy for you to cut his fucking tail off. Such as Dark Souls. Oh, what the fuck was that bullshit? Asshole. Fucking hell, he does not sit still long enough. What? Okay. I'm very confused as to what actually connected with me right there, but... Fucking Dark Souls, right? I was wondering if I had the ninja flip ring on. Or available to me. Because I'd fucking use that. This guy just... I do not approve.
Kinda wanted to end this series on a bit of a high note. Which is why I want to kick this fucking dragon's ass, but it's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. He's probably super resistant to magic anyway. Asshat. Oh yeah, he has a lot of range. This guy's reminding me of Xeno'jiiva from Monster Hunter World. Oh my fucking god, dude. More lingering hitboxes, why not? Why the fuck not? I can't hit your stupid tail because you got it in the air like a goddamn cat. Piss off. No, piss off. Do something I can actually fucking punish. Yeah, hit his tail. Now for that to never happen again. Look at him sliding on the ground. Ugh. No. Do a tail slam. Do it. Yeah. Cut it. Fuck me. All I want at this point is the tail cut. If we get the tail cut, then good. Done. I'm gonna fight this fucking boss again. No. No. Bastard. It makes me so angry. Even Bed of Chaos doesn't piss me off this much. Because at least with Bed of Chaos you actually know that, you know, it's a dumb boss that you're probably going to die a couple times against. If you get the pattern down, it's not too bad. Come on! How about now? Oh my god. I'm surprised that didn't actually hit me. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Do it. No. No. I feel like this is a boss that you can't really get all that aggressive on. That's something that I really appreciated about Bloodborne, is just being able to get super aggressive on bosses. Yes! Cut it off! Should do the heavy attack on that move. Go fuck yourself. I just wasted all my stamina. Smart me. I know. I'm playing angry and thus very stupidly. Do the close range one. Do the close range breath. Close range breath. Not that move. Close range breath. Do it. I dare you. Yeah. Gimme. Huh? I'm being very safe with Estus. Do the close... No.
Fuck's sake! Oh! Can you not just sprint away from that attack? Do you have to roll through it? I figured if I keep sprinting towards the side, thank you, car alarm, then maybe I'd be able to get away from it. But no, you have to roll through it because it's got such great tracking.
That's just one of the things that I don't really appreciate too much in Dark Souls. Again, I love this game to pieces, but man, are there parts of this game that really piss me off. But at the same time, that kind of gives me a lot of respect. Like, one of my favourite monsters in Monster Hunter is Basil Goose. Basil Juice. Basil Geese. However the fuck you want to pronounce it. Sounds dumb every single way. That monster kicks my ass so often. He is, like, one of the hardest monsters that I fight, and he's everywhere. He's always in a quest, because he's an invasive monster, which means that you pretty much fight him all the time. But he still kicks my ass, because he does so much damage, and he's got fantastic area control. You know? His power to zone you out is incredible. And he pisses me the hell off. Every single time I fight him, I get so angry, especially if I'm using a weapon I'm not all that familiar with. You know? But at the same time, I have to respect him for that, because he kicks my ass so frequently. Alright! You know, I'm kind of moving away from Dark Souls, and I'm starting to move towards Monster Hunter. I'm making the comparisons between Dark Souls and Monster Hunter. You can't compare them, they're two different games. Yeah? They're two games, they're two action RPGs with an emphasis on strategic combat. I can compare them. Especially when you're needing to use stamina to evade attacks. And I know stamina to evade attacks is nothing new. Dark Souls wasn't the first, and neither was Monster Hunter. Get off my back about it. So I'm sure there'll be some smartass that's like, oh, Dark Souls didn't invent, fucking stamina. Yeah, I know. But Monster Hunter and Dark Souls, they have a somewhat similar combat system. Not identical. Monster Hunter's way more in-depth. But the comparisons are available, so the comparisons will be drawn. It's just a facet of life. It's like comparing chocolate ice cream with, I don't know, vanilla ice cream. They're two different ice creams, but you compare them because they're both ice creams. You get what I'm saying? They're comparable, even if they aren't. Like, even if they're very, very different, you can kind of compare them in a couple of aspects. You shouldn't always compare them, but neglecting to compare them because, oh, they're not the same. Well, isn't that just more reason to compare them? You know, because they're not the same? But one thing that Monster Hunter does very well is lingering hitboxes. Lingering hitboxes in Monster Hunter work as such. As soon as you evade an attack, the attack's lingering hitboxes become inactive towards you. So Calamit's Fire Breath right there. If I dodged through any point of that, the rest of it would become inactive. It wouldn't hurt me. So I could dodge through it and just walk through the rest of it and it wouldn't hurt me. Why is that so generous? Well, I don't know. It's just a different style. There are a lot of attacks in Monster Hunter that have lingering hitboxes. But if you evade them, then they give you the benefit of not having to worry about evading it again. It's basically like, you managed to evade it once, or you managed to block it once, or you got hit by it once, I think is more of the concern. Like, if you get hit by it, I'm dead. Holy shit. If you get hit by it once, you don't really want to be getting hit by it again, especially considering the amount of damage that they can do. Right, so what they do is as soon as you get hit by it once, or evade, or block, or whatever, you can't get hit by it again, because it turns the hitbox inactive. And it really allows you to stay aggressive on certain attacks that have lingering hitboxes, and it really allows you to take advantage of them, whilst also letting them be really, really scary. For example, well, I mean, Calamite is a great example of this because of his crazy lingering hitboxes, but whenever he does his head swipe, if I dodge through that once, fuck, then it can't hurt me. I can't get hit out of my dodge. You know? That's just not a thing that exists in Monster Hunter, and I did not think that his tail would be a fucking hitbox there. God, I hate this boss. Pisses me off so much. But speaking of comparisons...
Fucking... Comparing Monster Hunter to Dauntless, people are so offended by that idea. I don't get it. It's like, they're both games where you hunt big, angry, scary monsters. How can you not fucking compare them? Or it's not even like getting pissed off at people comparing them. It's more like people are just straight up like, oh, it's a fucking Monster Hunter ripoff. It's like, well, no shit. You know? Sworn Sanctuary is a fucking Dark Souls ripoff, but it's a good one. You know? Fucking Fortnite is a PUBG ripoff, but it doesn't get called a ripoff because it's a good one. You know? And besides, the entire gaming industry is built on ripoffs. You know? You think the first-person shooter genre would have gotten as far as it did if people didn't rip off Doom and imitate or innovate on the genre in their own unique way, you know? you think we'd have stuff like Overwatch or Call of Duty or Battlefield if there weren't Doom clones? So get off of it, you know? Games are allowed to imitate other games. They're allowed to rip each other off. In fact, it's kind of healthy because Monster Hunter now has more of a competition, right? So they have to make better games. If they make better games, oh well, look at that. We get more enjoyable games, don't we? We get higher quality games. What's not to love about that? Fucking lingering hitboxes. You know? So why not encourage the Monster Hunter clone Dauntless, and hopefully we'll see more Monster Hunter clones, and then Monster Hunter will get even better and whatnot. So we'll all benefit from it, you know? Oh, what the fuck? That actually hit me. Oh my god. I can't tell if he's ever gonna do the side swipe or the fucking spin attack. This guy is the one boss that just really fucking irks me. Oh, fuck it. But another one of the things that really annoyed me was I saw a video comparing Monster Hunter and Dauntless, which I thought it was a decent video. I didn't think it was great. I thought there were a couple things that was missed out and a couple other things that were a bit like, okay, you're really kind of dragging on the Dauntless ripoff kind of thing there. Like, oh look, the chain blades are the exact same as the dual blades, and I haven't played Dauntless, so I can't say definitively like, oh yeah, they definitely are, but just looking at them, I'm thinking like, okay, so the chain blades are basically the chain blades from God of War, right? They have these ridiculous ranged attacks, as well as the awesome melee attacks and a super fast dash. The dual blades in Monster Hunter only have melee attacks. And in fact, everything about them accentuates just increasing as much melee damage as physically possible, but having absolutely no range whatsoever. They seem so different. Like, dual blades has demon mode, which increases your like damage and your moves and all of that sort of good stuff, whereas the chain blades seem to be all about like being able to keep pressure on a monster no matter what. You know, no matter if they're at range or if they're super close. They seem so different, but nah, they're fucking dual. Chain blade is totally dual blades from Monster Hunter, and totally not the chain blades from God of War. That's totally not what it is. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna use the fucking Darkwood Grain Ring. I'm so mad at this point. I'm like, I want it. But one of the things that was in the comment section of that video over and over and over again and again and again and again, and it just didn't make any fucking sense, was, oh, fucking, this game has Fortnite graphics. And all I can think is, sweet baby Jesus, did you not play anything from the PS2 era? Because holy mother of God, are those graphics not exclusive to Fortnite? Good God. Fortnite does not own those graphics. Much like Studio Ghibli does not own anime, Fortnite does not own that smooth textured fucking like really low res soft graphic style, you know? Like in Torchlight had that, Battleborn had that, Paladins has that, I'm pretty sure Monday Night Combat had that, fucking Legend of Spyro had that, Jak and Daxter had that. I'm sure the original Spyro games had that as well. I'm pretty sure they had that from memory. But even Halo 3 had it to an extent with the low-res textures. Maybe not as cartoonish as Dauntless has it, but it's like, come on, dude. Fortnite does not own those graphic styles. Seriously. Like, for goodness sake, if you're going to compare one game to another, at least be smart about it. Don't just type some generic, oh, well, this game has this aspect of this game, but it's popular, so this game's a rip-off because of it. It's like, get off of it, you know? I just get so mad. It's like, how should I say it? Ooh. I'm trying to think of two games that have very similar graphical styles. But I am currently wow, that actually hit me. Oh, for God's sakes, dude. No. Oh my God. Just Dark Souls. Fucking hell. I even did it earlier that time. Dickhead. Piss off. I'm surprised that didn't hit me. piece of shit. Okay, this is another thing that I have to say that Monster Hunter does better. Fucking pretty much everything that a monster does is punishable. Not everything that a boss in Dark Souls does is punishable. And I feel like Monster Hunter does a much better job of actually telegraphing a monster's different attacks and how to punish them. Like with Teostra's Supernova, you know it's going to be the fucking Supernova because it's the only time he actually flies up in the air and does the charge up. So you know you're going to fucking die. I mean, Dark Souls does do a good job of telegraphing, but good god do I have a hard time seeing what fucking bosses, what Calamete's doing. I'm so glad I put the Darkwood Grain Ring on. It's cheesy as hell, but fuck this boss. Wow, that range. Oh, fuck this boss. Can I go back to fighting Artorias? That guy's fun. Tomb of Giants. No, I think we've played long enough at this point. Oh, you can't even read that message? Oh, what's the point of it then? Yeah, I think we've played long enough at this point. So, lots of frustration happening. Both playing Prepared to Die Edition and with what the remasters has turned out to be. And also a few gripes with the Monster Hunter community. Mostly them, certain vocal minority being very fickle and very elitist. Fun times in gaming. And that was me thinking that I actually managed to get away from all of that. All of this negative BS. And I was actually starting to have fun just playing games because they're fun and not because, oh, I'm better than you or whatever. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.